as an officer's complete basic recruit training course, Guyana misses FATF deadline and children's MASH competition concludes. Weekly Digest is a production of the Government Information Agency that keeps you updated on what the government has been doing. With the details, I'm your host, Vindhya Tumeshwar. The issue of illicit drug use and trafficking is one that is not unique to Guyana, and as such, the country continues to partner with various organizations to help tackle the scourge. The government of Guyana recently collaborated with the Organization of American States to host a 2-day sub-regional meeting of the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission with the view of analyzing and discussing a standardized drug treatment system that was piloted in Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and Jamaica in 2012-2013. This program will be expanded to the entire region.
It is about sharing best practices, building capacity, and developing effective procedures to strengthen security and foster development in our member states. The well-being and progress of the citizens of our region represent the best jewels on the crown of our organization. I believe this workshop will equip you to improve your approach to drug and alcohol treatment. That alone is a significant contribution to the development of our countries.
Globally, there is an intense debate taking place on the legalization and/or decriminalization of marijuana. However, according to Home Affairs Minister Clement Rohi, this issue must be dealt with in a careful and holistic manner.
In several countries alone, billions of dollars have been invested in setting up institutions, law enforcement agencies, equipment, land and water transport to fight drug trafficking. And so it is not only a question of either decriminalizing or legalizing. It's the cost attached to any of these spheres of activities. To put up a house, it costs money. To take it down, it costs money too. And sometimes people do not recognize the cost to dismantle mechanisms that have been established. And jobs as well. I want to hazard a guess that millions of people are employed in the fight against drug trafficking. Whether it has to be on the demand side or the supply side. So these things have an economic, a financial, and a social cost.
This sub-regional meeting saw the participation of countries such as Barbados, Grenada, Guyana, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago. Next month, another workshop will be held in the Bahamas to cover the rest of the region.
The new building will include 29 fully furnished classrooms capable of housing some 1,000 students, sick bay facilities, facilities for the disabled, information, communication, laboratories, an administrative office, canteen, and sanitary facilities.
Every time we're going to build a school or rehabilitate or renovate or extend the school or do other things in education, we're coming out to the community and we're bringing to you all the documents we have. So we'll give you the bill of quantities. We're putting it up at the NDC office. We're leaving it with the rebuilding committee. We're leaving it at the regional chairman's office. We're leaving it at the education office. We're leaving it in the school, and we're leaving it on the site. And that is because I cannot be here. The CEO cannot be here. PS, as strict and firm as she is, cannot be here every day. And so you have to make sure that you get the value for money. And let me just pause here to remind you that over the last weekend, I think we saw a school in Sand Creek. I don't know if you saw that in the newspapers, where just a short 2 years after it was built, there are cracks on the walls and cracks on the beams and so on. And in my respectful view, whoever is responsible for that should be jailed, because that is interfering with our children's education. So Ghana doesn't have a lot of money. We can't build a school where one is needed in every community. But in that case, we found the money and we built it, and because somebody scammed us on that work, we are now forced to not be able to use parts of that building. And I am saying that is why we're coming out to communities, because on every building project education has, you will see us doing exactly this. Bringing the information to you and asking you to hold this contractor. He looks like a nice fellow, but we don't know him. And this consultant, again, we don't know him. Hold them accountable.
Over 800 students and teachers were displaced by the destruction of the school by arsonists during disturbances in 2012 and had to be housed at separate locations at the Wismer Hill Primary and Block 22 Multipurpose Hall. The contract for the construction of the 1 Mile Primary School was signed on December 31st with PD Contracting Services. The project has a completion date of February 2015.
Sector ministers and senior regional technical officers recently met with the aim of promoting, facilitating and supporting better education and primary health care delivery at the level of the 10 administrative regions.
The two-day exercise organized by the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development is a continuation of a series of engagements which began in early January. These brought together government ministers responsible for the delivery of several programs across the 10 administrative regions with their technical teams and senior regional officials.
I challenge all to get involved, to make an input which can make a difference. Today must not be seen as an opportunity to debate who's right and who's wrong. That's not the purpose of this activity. It's an opportunity for us to agree, in the first instance, that we have not been delivering the services that people expect of us. Because if we don't start off on that premise, which is true anyhow, we won't, in my humble view, make much progress. We have not been delivering 100% of the time the quality, the extent of service that people expect.
The meetings had the primary objective of identifying challenges faced in the delivery of quality and timely goods and services to the residents of the regions and other measures that would be taken to eliminate these difficulties.
I want to advocate to you that we should keep the faith and always reflect the faith that we Guyanese can and will attain the better quality of life that we are worthy of. And we will do so for all of us in Guyana. But that better quality of life will not come down from the skies. It will come out of our work. The quality of life we have at any time is a reflection of how well we are doing as a people.
4 broad areas were addressed during the meetings. These include the challenges encountered in delivery of health and educational services, internal distribution networks within the health and education sector, record keeping and database management, along with the role of the health and education program heads within the regions.
There's more to come. Please stay tuned.
Guyana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2015. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in the 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered. In an effort to respond more promptly to citizens, the Home Affairs Ministry has launched an online crime reporting system which allows citizens who possess or have access to cell phones, computers or other devices with internet connections to report criminal activities. Citizens can get instant access to security personnel on BlackBerry Messenger via 280-4E429. Reports of corruption can also be made on www.ipaidthebribe.com. These reports can be made anonymously.
Guyana as a tourist destination continues to receive international acclaim. The reputable National Geographic Traveler has named Destination Guyana as one of the must-see places in 2014. The renowned magazine said Guyana is the best kept secret in South America with stunning natural wonders. This year, increased focus will be placed on enhancing the standards within the industry, focusing on tourism products and services, multi-destination itinerary planning, events management, ecotourism, and sustainable principles and guidelines, as well as a grading scheme which will be developed for the industry.
In an effort to better their lives, more than 42,000 pensioners are currently enjoying a 25% increase in their pension. This is in addition to the waiver of the Guyana Water Incorporated's bill. And in another attempt to enhance their lives, over 8,500 pensioners are benefiting from $20,000 subsidy yearly towards their electricity bills with the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated.
The Ministry of Health is working towards safe motherhood and reduction of maternal deaths and is hopeful of achieving the Millennium Development Goal related to such deaths by the stipulated 2015 United Nations deadline. While Guyana has already achieved some of its Millennium Development Goals, the issue of maternal death is still a fragile and underlying one. This is according to Health Minister Dr. Berry Ramsaran. The Ministry of Health has been placing a lot of emphasis on this issue. These efforts include the expansion of neonatal intensive care in Guyana. The GPHC, West Demerara, New Amsterdam, and Linden hospitals now offers this service.
This means that the under 5 mortality rate in Guyana will significantly reduce. Guyana will be able to achieve its Millennium Development Goals as far as maternal mortality is concerned and as far as under 5 mortality is concerned. Why? We discovered that of the under 5 group, under 5 below 5 years group, the major slice or a significant slice of the deaths occurred among the neonates. And this is understandable. They're more vulnerable. Many of them who were born with low birth weight, premature, with other conditions, they're susceptible. And in previous conditions, in our resource poor conditions of a few years ago, they would definitely have died. Now we're saving them and they're growing.
Through the efforts of the ministry, there has been a decrease in the number of maternal deaths in the country over the past few years.
We have a zero tolerance for maternal death. But there are cases, they will live it is a human condition when women will die. We need to reduce it. In 2012, there were 25 maternal deaths. In 2013, that is to say 1 year later, there were only 18 such deaths. 18 too many, but definitely less than in the previous year. So our efforts are bearing some fruit.
The government of Guyana continues to work to achieve this goal in the desired time frame to ensure the safe delivery and well-being of mothers and their newborn. A second batch of prison officers completed the basic recruit training course with the focus on producing quality officers who will be able to effectively carry out the duties of the Guyana Prison Service.
24 prison officers on February 11 graduated in basic recruit training after undergoing approximately 2 months of intense training by the Guyana Prison Service. The objective of the course was to produce quality prison officers who will be able to carry out the duties of the division. The officers were exposed to both practical and written training sessions by the Cecil Kilkenny Prison Officers Training School. The best graduating student was APO number 3309 Malvern Williams, whilst the runner-ups were APO number 3314 James Douglas and WAPO 3321 Sophia Davis, who tied for second place.
Out of 850,000 people in this country, 24 of you are being given the task to ensure that those 850,000 people's lives are not in danger as a result of people escaping from prison. And that's the weight that you have to carry, that's the burden that you have to carry, that's the responsibility that you have to carry.
These individuals will now add to the capacity of officers within the force and strengthen the security system in the prison services countrywide.
The Children's Matrimony Finals was an avenue to showcase the talents of students of the 10 administrative regions and the Georgetown District as they competed in various categories.
The National Cultural Center came alive from February 12 to 14 as students, teachers, and parents were entertained with dazzling performances from the participants who impressed the judges with their unique pieces in the form of dance, masquerade, dramatic poetry, and calypso, costume, steel band, and choir presentation under the theme Cultural Folklore Celebrating 44.
She went all up, Miss Lilian, and the suicide doors are required. Look at me now, look at me now, I'm getting paper. Look at me now, look at me now, yeah.
The Children's March competition is the largest cultural arena where nursery, primary, and secondary students throughout the country are given an opportunity to display their talents and promote expressive arts.
It's not only the children that you will see here who have been given this fantastic opportunity to demonstrate their ability to represent Guyana. It's not only these children here that you will see today who have been given this incredible opportunity to show how useful it is to mix academic performance and academic teaching with extracurricular work. It is children all across Guyana that got that chance, and that has been something that the Ministry of Education has been providing, and we're very proud to provide. I am pleased and wish to congratulate the Allied Arts Department headed by Mrs. Ogle for every year putting on this very smooth competition.
This annual event, which was launched in 1992 by the Education Ministry, also showcases how useful it is to merge academics with extracurricular activities which help to foster discipline in pupils.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, in collaboration with the National Museum, launched its annual Matrimony exhibition as part of a series of activities in commemoration of Guyana's 44th Republic anniversary.
The exhibition, which was launched on February 11th at the National Museum, is one of the Culture Ministry's traditional activities in order to ensure that the country's cultural heritage is highlighted, especially among the younger generation.
We have been doing these exhibitions because we felt that around Republic time, a lot of people associate our Republic celebrations with just what happens on the road. And we thought that we need to have a balance, and therefore we must also have some other side of our celebrations. This exhibition has been one of the things that we've been doing for a number of years, and it has been growing, and I think the quality of the exhibitions have been improving.
Exhibits on display depict various aspects of Guyanese culture and what has been occurring at matrimony celebrations over the years in keeping with this year's matrimony theme. The exhibition, which is expected to run until March 6, will help to propagate the unique history that Guyana possesses and will provide the opportunity for persons, especially young people, to value Guyana's folklore activities.
And so you'll get a kind of timeline of what would have happened over the years. And on the other hand, the special theme where we're talking about our folklore and so forth. Why is that important? Is that sometimes while these things exist in our culture, the young generation today do not see value in these folkloric activities. And we need to kind of pass that on to the next generation. And if they don't understand or if they don't appreciate these legends and so forth, then I think we'll lose it. And as a country, as a people, we are unique. And what makes us unique is some of the things in our culture.
On February 19, there will also be a Republic lecture which will be conducted by Professor Clem Sicharan on Guyana's Republican status, along with a number of other intellectual activities to mark this event.
Cabinet met on February 11, where several issues of national concern were discussed. These were subsequently brought to the attention of the media. Cabinet at its February 11 statutory meeting gave its no objections to 9 contracts in the areas of communication, agriculture, infrastructure, education, environmental management, and tourism. Guyana is awaiting the decision of the Financial Action Task Force. As it stands, the country ranks number 1 on the list of delinquent countries that are under review.
If FATF goes in the direction of giving Guyana more time, we are very clear in our minds that it is because of the efforts of our friends and the role of very key international leaders who have come out and made public statements in relation to urging Guyana and the political parties to do what it must do, and that is to pass the bill. Notably is the Secretary General in Sousa of the Organization of American States on Monday, and CARICOM Secretary General on Tuesday. The Secretary General of the OAS does not normally do this in relation to countries that are not compliant with CFATF or FATF. This is not a normal thing that INSOSA does. This is an exceptional move by the OAS, a rare move by the OAS to say to Guyana, one, you have to do this, it's important, and encouraging the countries to do it, the opposition party and the government to do it, and further going to offer assistance in whatever way to assist Guyana to come into compliance with the FATF as soon as possible.
FATF has the authority to make a decision on any country that is not compliant. It does not have to wait on the assessment and or the views of the regional bodies, which in Guyana's case is the CFATF.
The behavior of the opposition is at the least level perplexing, inconsistent and perplexing, because we've heard Mr. Granger express great concerns about the anti-money laundering narcotics and went yesterday to meet with the head of the GDF. But he seems not to understand or appreciate the connection between this bill before the House, the amendment bill, and the countering money laundering and countering financing of terrorism and the financing of terrorism.
Talks on the establishment of a bilateral committee to discuss the bills that did not receive the assent of the President are no longer on the agenda, given the opposition's failure to agree to the anti-money laundering amendment bill be returned to the Parliament for passage. Up next is Dr. Prem Mazir with Perspectives.
It's this time of the year again. The predictable annual budget war is upon us in Guyana. The opposition's war-wearied wailing of having had no consultations to input Budget 2014 has become the norm at this time of the year, even though budgetary consultations should begin the day after an existing budget is approved. This annual budget war and cry for consultations have probably graduated to becoming an annual festival, and perhaps it is time to accord them a national holiday status. However, for all intents and purposes, the sole player in this war is the one seat majority opposition. But in order to have a war, there must be at least two players, and only the opposition is engaged. Therefore, the war is not real. Recently, Acting Chief Justice Ian Chang ordered compliance with the rules governing the budgetary process in the National Assembly and asserted that there were clear violations of constitutional rules in the 2012 budget cuts. In making his ruling, the Acting Chief Justice invoked Article 171282 and Article 218 of the Constitution. In his interpretation of part of Article 218, Acting Chief Justice Chang noted that the proposed budget is really the Minister of Finance's estimates that the National Assembly is empowered to approve but not to amend. For if the National Assembly makes cuts to the estimates, then the estimates become the National Assembly's estimates and not the minister's estimates. The National Assembly now cannot cut the minister's estimates, but has the authority to approve or reject the estimates in their entirety. So cuts in 2012 were a done deal, and as such did not give the minister the chance to address the opposition's concerns. What happened in 2012 will not happen in 2014. Chang's ruling implies that the savage 15% cuts to the Guyana budget 2013, equivalent to $31 billion on the Chedijagan Airport Modernization Project, Ogle Aerodrome Assistance, CJIA Cooperation, Civil Aviation Equipment, and Hinterland Coastal Airstrips, among others, were illegal. These cuts hurt the poor and vulnerable, especially as these public capital investments generally provide increased gains to ordinary people. The budget is the government's plan of development for the next year, and any cut would compromise the government's program of activities. So budget cuts now, as a result of the CJ's ruling, or the Acting Chief Justice's ruling, are now illegal. The Guyana Constitution exercises supreme status and power over the National Assembly activities. For, as in the case of budget matters, Article 171282 and Article 218 of the Constitution do not authorize the National Assembly to cut, increase, or reallocate the budgetary estimates. Therefore, compliance with constitutional rules becomes the bedrock of all parliamentary proceedings in Guyana. I want to leave you with the fact that the National Assembly now cannot cut the budget. It can only approve or reject the budget, in which case the Minister of Finance will have a way of looking at the opposition's concerns and make whatever adjustments may be necessary. But the bottom line is that the National Assembly, the one-seat majority opposition, cannot cut the budget. Thank you very much indeed.
And that's all we have for you in this week's program, but before we go, these were the highlights. More prison officers complete basic recruit training course, Guyana misses FATF deadline, and children's MASH competition concludes. Remember that Weekly Digest and other government information can be found on our website www.gina.gov.gy, or you can send us your comments and suggestions at ginagovgy@gmail.com. Thank you for watching, and do join us again next week for another program. Goodbye for now.